This is Patito's Gang. This week we are going to be looking at a subject that is very, very relevant. It's relevant to all developed and developing and underdeveloped economies because it is at the heart of the human capacity and the capacity for human beings to live. It is the poverty trap. How do we get into this poverty trap? I know a definition talks about the poverty trap being a mechanism that perpetually keeps people at near below existence level. And then you find people having to pick virtually from the dustbin, like a politician mentioned sometime, to pick crumbs. Some, they are so disemboweled, they do not have a means of putting food on the table. And I know governments have tried one way or the other to bring palliative measures to get to the poorest of the poor in our society. How has this impacted us in Nigeria? Can we have a look at this? Are there perspectives that we can share with our publics with a view to try to bring people out of this poverty trap? What do we think? Poverty does not have gender balance anyway. So, Bekeme, what do you think?
Poverty in Nigeria should not be a conversation that we're having. So, now the trap is that we have not been successful with leadership. Of course, this is something that we constantly talk about. But then it's also the fact that, you know, as the president once said, although he said it in such a way that people were upset, we have also had a challenge with unproductivity, for want of a better word, of people. So I have seen people turn their noses down at opportunity. And this is not to undermine the fact that there is poverty. But there's also poverty mentality. So sometimes I need clarification. Which one is it? Because even when people have reached a certain level, they're not sure that they're there yet and they're still grasping. And that there are some who think that they should be provided for. And so when opportunities come, you don't want to come out of your comfort zone. But there's also a majority that are in poverty as a result of ignorance.
Poverty of the mind, so to speak.
Poverty of the mind, and you don't even see the opportunities even when the opportunities are there. I guess that's why there's a lot of emphasis on entrepreneurship. Because there is room for tremendous growth in entrepreneurship. There's some people, when Pure Water business started, that's how it started. I have a friend whose father trained his children through secondary, university, some of the best schools abroad for masters with his Pure Water business. Okay, so that's obviously where we need to start going, empowering the individual. And again, because we are not a people governing ourselves, this is where the government comes in and follows through. This is where we need the right sort of leadership. And it's not just presidential, it's not just the governor, it's also the other guys, local government, the people in offices, okay, who have to be committed to driving an agenda that is beneficial to the people, that makes it work for the people. Because I've met, you hear of Nigerians doing fantastic things all over the world. You've heard. I mean, Gatwick Airport is owned by a Nigerian.
Quite a
the first black, aerospace and PhD holder in aerospace engineering, a Nigerian girl.
And
so we're excelling elsewhere.
Yes. Let me throw it to you. Poverty of the mind. People seeing opportunities here, they don't see opportunities. And government of the day perhaps now coming to bring in a few things, the empowerment program, trader money and what have you. Do you think this is getting to the right direction? Are we getting a mileage from such things, even if it is a little drop of water in the mighty ocean?
Well, I think those programs definitely will, impact positively on some people or on a few people, but I don't think they go far enough. The whole thing about the poverty trap reminds me of Fela's song about his friend who wanted to buy fan, if you remember. and saved and saved and saved. He went to the market, he said farm was 20 naira. By the time he got, he had, so that kind of illustrates what we're talking about when we say the poverty trap. Okay, so those kind of programs that give handouts, but don't get down to encourage production, don't get down to create or ensure that there are opportunities for people. Because really, poverty is about opportunity. Opportunity for education. First of all, your mind, to be able to see that you can do A or B or C. So if in this environment, if we are complaining about education, we say that our educational system is not good, I think that's the first thing to look at. Then we're never going to get out of the poverty trap. People are never going to get out of the poverty trap because the mind needs, first of all, to be trained.
Nurtured.
Entrepreneurship, young people coming with ideas, I know for certain. Again, it might be little trickles, not getting to the root of it. Development agencies, Bank of Industry, I know they do give out soft loans, if you have a good feasibility studies and stuff like that. What is it like from the perspective of the young people, creative with ideas? Are they able to package themselves, write the right proposal, approach this kind of banks, get the loans, utilize the loans, in a disciplined form, repay back, and then get higher ones? What's your perspective?
What I think is, before going into answering the question, I will want to emphasize that the first sustainable development goal is zero poverty. It shows the essence, the importance that should be attached to poverty. And of course, in the last few years, Nigeria was regarded as the poverty capital of the world. That means we have the highest concentration of poor people in Nigeria.
Oh, they just took over from India about 2-3 years ago, yeah.
So, and this is becoming a serious problem. And it goes back to talking about how we have been able to to entrap ourselves in this poverty race. Because there's a consistent expenditure that we have, and then it's not going away. And then the common man with little education is not able to even address the current expenditure. Meanwhile, the inflation is also bringing up these things to increasing it at a faster rate than the income. So this is not sustainable. At the end of the day, you look at it, how do we address it? The easiest way to address it is by education. Education addresses poverty. You need to educate. Now, going back to your question that how has the young people been able to address poverty? Like I said, we have a lot of young people on the street struggling to survive. So we need to address that survival first. If you are not able, I listened to Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, when he was speaking at Harvard, and he said the only reason he was able to build Facebook was because while he was thinking about Facebook, he was not thinking about where the next meal would come from. Now, if we do not address poverty in Nigeria, we are going to be running in circles.
So we should really be looking at the hygienic. Bekeme was making a reference to capacity. The kind of education that we have, is it entrepreneurial based? Is it such that you even see opportunities and you refuse to want to take it, or you prefer to go onto the white collar jobs?
Yeah, so that's the thing. So in Germany, after finishing your degree, you must go through, I think you must go through a 1-year vocational skill training. Vocational skill. Vocation, carpentry, plumbing, because we have terrible plumbers in Nigeria till date. Because everybody wants either a white collar job or you want to get it fast, and so 419 is thriving. So it goes back again to that inherent greed. Nigerians need to learn delayed gratification. I know people look at me and say, it's because she has. She once had, didn't have, and now has again. Because you learn delayed gratification. It doesn't fall in your lap like that. Sometimes it's not easy. Even if Mark Zuckerberg said that because he wasn't thinking of food, he could do certain things. There are people in his situation too who would not stay the course to get what he has today, even with food in their tummies.
One of the things that I'm finding is the kind of conversation we are having with young people. And I'm sure you must have had quips, in school, say, what do you want to become? Some people say, I want to be this, I want to be that. And then the other person says, I want to be a politician. Why do you want to be a politician? Well, I see that being a politician is the easiest way to wealth. Well, with that kind of mindset, not having the capacity to teach yourself the right vocation, looking at delayed gratification, where then do we go from there? We will get back. Let's go out to the streets, find out what people are saying concerning this, and then we'll come back.
When the government is saying that way, it will be reduced. We don't want people that are just striving to get there.
We're really, really deep in this thing. And I feel like entrepreneurship is one of our major driving factors in Nigeria. Nigerians are very entrepreneurial. They're very, very smart, young, ambitious people. And we found that the government is not helping us in any way. So we've taken it upon ourselves to use entrepreneurship as a front. But at the same time, I think it's important that the government sees the potential in people and sees the skill that people have and take advantage of this and help us to grow. There are other African countries that are growing and using the skill people have and using it to go global. Why can't we do it in Nigeria? We need to leave this poverty trap. It's a trap and we need to get out of it.
Of course, nothing is impossible, and every situation is bound to change. So nothing is temporary. So yeah, Nigeria can actually escape the poverty trap, even as it looks like we're going down and down and down. But I believe that with consistent, strict measures, we're actually going to, make a headway. We have to do a lot of economic revamp, because we're having a lot of issues in our economic system. We have a lot of issues in our infrastructure, a lot of infrastructural deficits happening, lack of quality products for export, not enough employment opportunities for the youth, no entrepreneurship spirit and all that. So when we focus on all these things, the economy will grow and we are going to escape the poverty trap. Poverty affects the women directly here in Nigeria, and I think it's more because we have less economic opportunities. We are on the decision table, we are even less, so even the social-cultural factors are also against us somehow. And then we still have a number of obligations, number of responsibilities to still fulfill, even with all these limitations. So I think it has a way to make us feel the impact more than those who have the liberty to do anything they wish and are also there making the decisions for themselves. Possible solutions that we could prefer to make this better is, on the women's side, I believe women should be allowed to participate more in decision making. They should also be open to economic opportunities. They should be open to land ownership, property ownership. They should be allowed to explore and source for opportunities to make life better for themselves. And then looking at our country, if we're going to escape the poverty trap, we need to focus more on building our economy and then shunning corruption strictly. We need to make things work. We need to focus on our infrastructure, focus on SME development and growth, and then encourage young people, build more industries to employ young people in the country.
We are back. Yes, after listening to people out there, you have various dimensions to this topic about poverty of the mind. Some people call some segments lazy, education, and what have you. Now we want to go to the practical terms. How do we get out of this? in some other economies, things are happening. Rwanda is gone green and is giving a lot of employment to youths. And I know Ethiopia is following suit. Right here in Nigeria, we are still battling with generating electricity up to about 5,000 megawatts with the gate and what have you. And there's functional education where students are out of the university for 6-7 months. ASU going on strike, still affecting part of education. An aspect of our life, which is the religious, seems to be thriving one way or the other, again, built on a lot of falsity that does not bring food to the generality of the people. How do you think we can address this?
I think we can do a couple of things. We mentioned education. We also have to enthrone merit. Okay? Merit. And that is very, very important. This whole thing about federal character is something that I think has held us down and has held people down a lot. Has made people who should be in certain places, take certain opportunities, not get those opportunities. I was happy when our president said a couple of weeks ago during his campaign that he has made all his appointments on merit. He was talking to them in Anambra, I think. And that was, I was happy about that. If he can do that, then who are we? Let us take it all round to all the aspects of governance. Let us put people or take people on merit. Let us do, if we take entrance exams, let people get in there on merit. This federal character business, while well-intentioned, I think it has now cost us more harm than it has done good.
And maybe one of the things that is dysfunctional is the fact that everybody says, I must go to university. I know we have technical institutions around the country, skills, vocational development. Everybody may not be able to get to the universities today. And so if that is so, are there other means that we can have a look at, especially in the areas of promoting girls, women development, to get and cut off this poverty line?
So you see, I think that we have a cultural challenge when we talk about vocational studies, okay? Because these opportunities are there. I remember that as a child, every Christmas, we went home to the village and they didn't have lots of money, but they had food to eat because they found and they were happy. So they could provide for themselves. Like, they had enough to eat, robust stomachs and everything. Everybody was happy, okay? Now everybody wants to move to the city to start a white-collar job. And everybody just wants a job. And not just that they want a job, they want a great-paying job right off the bat, no experience. So it compels us to do certain things, and it compels us to ignore so many things. So it's key that there is a focused agenda on driving, better education, of course, and then, entrepreneurship skills. But you see, there's so many people doing these things. I'm not saying it's enough, but I'm saying that the people who have even been trained don't even seem to be willing to do something about the training. I know a little bit about this market money, trader money thing. Now, it's supposed to be a loan, right? But people don't want to pay back. They think it's national cake. Collect my own and abscond.
Do you blame them?
I blame them just because I find myself in opportunities that I could also say it's national cake, but I don't say it's national cake.
Yeah, that is you.
That's my point.
Okay.
So more people need to learn that just because the system doesn't work doesn't mean that they need to join in that system to entrench negativity in that system.
There's a reason why, albeit wrongly, have that perception about trader money or one of those things. Why do they have it? People, they are human beings and they are rational, these people. They have irrational. No, they are rational. They are human beings. The reason they do say it that way is because they look at other people who are supposed to be their, what would you say, their role models. They are the big men in the society who take government money and never pay it back.
Because they want money now too, like those people.
So you go to these same people, these other people who are lower down, you give them this same government money and you want them to pay back. What's the fairness?
The point must be made that what is bad is can't be acceptable.
That is true, but
It's
we have
all.
a fundamental problem
It's still part of the values which Bekeme is saying that value of honesty. Because if you do it well, quite a number of people who are lined behind you will be able to get into it. Maybe a little bit.
You know
here
that
and
in
there.
the villages, you come to a village and you say, oh, it's supposed to be maybe a cooperative, or you talk to a local government chairman, or you talk to somebody senior, and then these people bring their family members forward. Some of them will say, my sister too has a business. Sister doesn't have a business, so you just say, sister, come and write your name here. So how are we really going to address a problem that the people don't want to help you to address?
So one of the things,
And they say they stole billions. My own is only 5,000, and you justify it. It's a challenge.
One of the things to do is good role models. That person distributing the trader money or whatever money has to be a good role model to the people. If you are in a position of authority, then you have to do the proper things, because you are signaling to the man on the streets. That's my point. That's actually what I was trying to drive at.
The man that is distributing the trader money is a good man, highly educated.
How do you know that? Like, how do you know it's not a good man? So yes, it could be a good.
Who are you talking about?
I'm talking about people who are going out there and trying to make a difference. But sincerely speaking, I know
nobody
that.
in mind. But I'm just.
I know. I'm making the point that a journey of 1,000 miles, you take a first step. Yeah. That first step might be slow, might be snail speed, but it still is a first step. So we need to
and that collective approach is necessary.
When we have a very good mindset and we are all looking at things in the right direction, like India, we'll get out, we put some other country back to poverty. But I know that this country, one of the policy thrusts of present administration and maybe the previous administration is looking at greenery, putting a lot of incentives to agric, getting young people to get into cooperatives and giving them soft loans. Mm-hmm. Is there anything that these young people are doing right now in that direction? Going back to the farm, making sure that we get, good crops to sell, preserve, and then export.
Yeah, there are a lot of young people that have gone back to agriculture. However, agriculture has a value chain as well. It doesn't mean that everybody will go to the farm. You can be anywhere along the chain. Exactly. So we also see a lot of people on that chain. It depends on where they feel. But you see, what I've observed is that during this current dispensation, because the focus of the government has been into agriculture, a lot of people, not just young people, a lot of people have gone into agriculture. And so there are also a lot of financial incentives for people to go into it. Of course, leading also to
soft
exports.
loans, soft trade loans, and stuff like that. And then
those
I now see a lot of young people. I see a lot of young people now getting that on, and then having their means of livelihood, getting married, buying cars. I hope
there are a lot of fantastic young entrepreneurs. My friend became the first African Nigerian to run a gold refinery, and she's female. So there are lots of people pushing through. We just need lots more to come on board.
And lots more, except that time is not our friend. We need to go now. Poverty trap. Nigeria is not bound to continue to be within that trap. If we have the good mindset, if we have the good vision, the good leadership, we are all, like they say in Ubuntu, all of us are winners. And we work as a team, we will be able to get there. You can look at our social media handles, screen through your screen. We can continue the conversation. And we shall be back. Thank you.